Hey guys, how you doing? So this is another interview for the upcoming book of mine called Inspired Success, and I'm with a man who's changing many lives in South Africa, and he's personally changed mine. In fact, he's a personal mentor of mine, Mr. Andrew Eaton. I met him a year ago, about a year ago, when I was looking for answers to how I can make my life better. I got introduced to a business opportunity, and then jumped on board, and he's been the man expanding here in SA. He's got a lot of background. He's a true example that you don't have to be born in an aristocratic family in order for you to make the most of yourself, and you just need a drive and desire. So, Mr. Andrew Eaton, if you could just say hi to the people, and if you could just tell us your story.
Great, Njabulo, and thanks very much for the privilege of the interview,
Yeah.
and once again, well done on everything you're doing, Bad.
Yeah.
I'm just so very impressed with what you're doing, and big things are happening. So
Yes.
well done on everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Look, my story is one I suppose is not too dissimilar to many people who might be listening to this. I grew up in Cape Town, got a degree at university, came up to Johannesburg in 2000. Launched an IT business. Long story short, 8 years later, that went bankrupt. And the reason I like telling this story is because that's why there's so few entrepreneurs in the world. Not everyone's prepared to take risks. Yet it's unfortunately what keeps most people back from achieving what they need to in life. So I took the risk 8 years later. That went down. I went and did something that I swore I'd never do, and that's find a job. And and I went and tasted what it's like to have a job for a couple of years, and it really frustrated me. I'm not here on this interview now to have a go at jobs, but I just realised I was never going to be financially free. I've always been entrepreneurially minded. The reason I went and got a job, by the way, is because I had to dig myself out of a lot of debt. Not too dissimilar to a lot of South Africans or people around the world, I would imagine, either.
That's very true.
So I had to do that, started digging myself out of debt, but was very frustrated. Didn't like the fact that I was answerable to other people. They were controlling my life. Someone else was pulling my strings. Really realized that I would never own my life.
And planning for leave days and sick days and
yeah, correct. Not being able to go on holiday when you want to, having to go to gym with the masses at 5 in the morning. Just wasn't used to that. So did it for a couple of years. Sort of getting into a little bit of a comfort zone. They talk about being comfortably uncomfortable. Started getting comfortably uncomfortable. But then, found out that in 2010, a life-changing moment in my life occurred. Found out my little daughter was autistic, and decided that right then and there to do something really different to give the little girl what she deserved in life. Not just my little girl, but obviously maybe thinking of the rest of the people in my life. And so journey started, and I needed to find something that an average guy out there, because I consider myself just an average guy. I'm not a Zuckerberg or anyone like that. Find something that an average guy could do, and totally, found an internet business and changed my life, and that's really my story, as you know.
Yes, of course, as I've heard the story many times, but every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, anyone can do it. So when I define success in the book is it's a progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. A person doing in life the things because they inherently wanted to do them. And that source of success I've found comes from pain. And as you did allude to your little girl being autistic, if you could just talk more about the role of what positive pain has played in your life, because I'm sure there've been other painful experiences. If we just talk about how pain has caused massive change in your life in terms of you reaching success.
It's a very good question, by the way. I think that defines, this really could define someone's life. I love telling people that life's all about choices. Even small choices can have knock-on effects that you could never believe. A small, insignificant choice right now could lead on to such massive repercussions later down the life. And so, in terms of where I found myself at that stage was I had a choice. My wife and I, we could either sat and wallowed in the misfortune we had of having an autistic child. Not that, when I say misfortune, don't get me wrong, not that we didn't love her to absolute bits. It was the pain that we had for her. And we meet a lot of parents, by the way, who do have that attitude, and they just talk about the negatives all the time about having to raise autistic children. And by the way, it's not just autistic children. I mean, there are people with kids with Down syndrome and sick kids, and you can channel that pain in a negative way. And they're just going to drag you down further and further into a place where it affects the rest of your life negatively. Or you can choose, and once again I want to use the word choose, to channel that pain in a positive way, and make it drive you to do everything that you can to make something positive out of it. You know, and there's stories. My story is a small one. You look at people like. Once again, let's talk about the man that everyone knows, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
He had a lot of pain in his life, and he chose to channel that pain in a constructive way, and he literally changed the world. Mahatma Gandhi is another one. They could have both been bitter men.
Yes, very
and channeled that pain in a very negative way, which would have completely changed. Small decision. How am I going to channel the pain? Significant difference down the line to what happened in the history of mankind. And each of us in our own little way, in our little lives that we lead, have the same choices. Do we take the pain and go one way, which is the negative way, which is just going to have worse, bigger effects down the line, or do we take that pain and do something constructively with that pain? And what people find in that process is that it brings about a lot of inner healing as well. So that's I hope that's answered the question.
That has answered the question. Thank you very much, Andrew. And then also another area of in terms of being successful is holistic living. Many people, they place too many areas of our lives, like from a spiritual component right down to the financial component. And most people, they focus too much on being spiritual, and then they're really poor. And then sometimes they focus too much on their physical well-being, but they neglect their families. So in terms of being successful, what is the importance of practicing a balanced life, having a holistic view of living in life?
That's such an awesome question, and it's one that I'm passionate about, because my big drive in outside of my why originally, which was my family and my little girl and my family, and my big drive was to help people live a life of success by what I would define success. And that really is, to me, success means having enough money and time. Money and time to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. And that's what I'm passionate about talking to people about. So so many people, and I had a question just last week. A young guy said to me, he said, I know so many millionaires, how can you say they're not successful? I said, okay, how many of them are divorced? How many of them are unhappy?
That's true.
And he said, well, actually quite a few of them. So I said, would you say that's successful? Their bank account says they're they're successful, but spiritually they're very unsuccessful. And an unfortunate thing about the society we live in at the moment is that people are so they're married to their jobs, and they climb the corporate ladder, and great kudos to them. I mean, I'm not having a go at people who do that, because that takes ambition. But what we found is that many of these people, unfortunately, sacrifice in climbing that ladder. They sacrifice so many things in other areas of their life that causes them not to be successful in the larger scheme of things. It's very important that we have money. I think you can do, nothing wrong with being rich. You can do so much more good for the world when you're rich than when you're poor.
That's true.
But at what expense do you want to do it, and what sort of money do you want to make? So that's the one side of it. And the other side of things, I speak to so many people who say, listen, I'm not rich, but I don't need money. I'm just content with where I am. But often you find those people are the people that get further and further into debt, and are a burden on other people in their lives. They're all, we're all happy, and money is not important to our lives, but they're always borrowing money from someone, and so there's a burden with someone. And they might say, but I'm spiritually happy.
Yeah.
That's great, but are your children okay?
Yeah.
The spiritual happy. What are your children eating enough? Are they eating the right foods?
Yeah.
So there's a responsibility to find a very fine balance in that. On the one side, we have people who are very, very driven by money, sacrificing their family lives as a result. And as I said, you just see so many divorces happening this year. And wouldn't it be great if we could create a society where we could find that a means for parents to both make a sort of income that they could spend time with their children as well, be married to their family and not to their boss. And on the other side, those that are sitting at home doing nothing, wouldn't it be great if we could find a way for them to have a financial vehicle whereby they could stop being dependent on other people? They might be spiritually happy and spend all the time together, but broke. So to me, success is a fine line between your finances, your spirituality, your family life, your health. I mean, we see so many CEOs having heart attacks these days. I mean, and you see overweight CEOs of companies because they don't get time to exercise. So it's a combination of things, and I think once you find the right balance between your financial success, your spiritual success, your family success, your health success, only then can you really measure how successful you are. So we speak to so many people that say, I'm successful, I don't need any more money. I say, no, you're not. When else did you go on holiday with your children? When else did you spend a Saturday afternoon with your children and your wife or your husband? And then so it's fine balance, but that would be, to me, what ultimate success is, when you found the balance between them and when they're in harmony. When they're in harmony, that's when you got success.
Yes, most definitely. You hit the nail right on the head. I truly believe that as well. Hope you guys are listening to that part. So the next concept I want to talk about, especially in this beautiful country called South Africa, we have a lack of leadership, true leadership. And many people, they don't really understand leadership, or they feel that they aren't worthy to be leaders. They don't believe that they're not leaders, and they have to be a CEO, or this big personal development guy, or just be someone important in order to be a leader. However, what I've read about and other people I've spoken to is that you can be a leader at any level, and you can display leadership no matter who you are. And then also the basis of what true leadership is sacrifice. It's like being a parent, what do you want for our children? Well, I don't know. I don't have children out there that I know of. But you do. You want your children to be more, to become more, to see more, to have more than you could ever do for yourself. So if we could just touch on leadership and the concept of sacrifice and service in your life.
Great. And you know what? Also a phenomenal question. I don't want to use the word sacrifice, because I don't think leaders sacrifice. I think leaders serve. True leaders serve. And there's a big difference between sacrificing and serving, because true leaders will serve because they want to. Okay, so yes, you have to sacrifice things to be successful, but you don't need to sacrifice things to be a leader. You just need to want to serve. And unfortunately, in modern society, many of the leaders out there have forgotten that they're there to serve. And I'm not just talking political leaders, I'm talking all sorts of leaders. And there's a difference between a powerful person and because of a title that you're given, and being a powerful person because you're respected by people.
That's true, yeah.
And you're respected for the right reasons because you serve. So true leaders, all the true leaders that I've found are servants, first and foremost. And they gain respect by being givers. Okay. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, what we found here is that the role models that a lot of people are looking up to are very powerful people, but they certainly, I would hesitate to call them leaders. And the unfortunate thing of that, Njabulo, is that if they are role models, that is what the people aspiring to be like them are going to turn out to be as well. So a big drive for what I do and who I surround myself with is to find servant leaders who really put the people before themselves. And let's just go to Zig Ziglar, who said, if you can help enough people get what they want out of life, you'll get what you want out of life. And some people, you need to really take cognizance of that. leaders who really need to take cognizance of that, because their leadership is all about what can I get, and how powerful can I be without helping other people get what they want.
Yeah, that's true.
And you speak about, we speak about the great leaders that really get remembered long after they're gone, are the ones that always serve people. The leaders that come and go who had power and influence because of a position they had, well, they get forgotten quite quickly.
Yes, they do.
So that's been I've chosen to try and follow the leaders who serve. And in one segment we talk about choices. You asked that question.
Yeah.
Those are the real role models that I would hope many young people would look for. Those people that serve. When they're going, we have something called Google there, and you can go and Google true leaders who serve, and you can go and follow them, and you can learn what true leadership is about there, rather than just looking at, be it a big sports star or a certain politicians. And that to me is the fundamental difference between power and leadership. They're two totally different things.
Yeah. That's awesome. I do truly believe that, and hopefully the audience has gotten some value from that, because he is a true servant leader, truly. And then the last concept I want to talk about is wealth creation. And when people have money is a very tight subject. It's a taboo they want to stay away from, because they have these beliefs that money's evil. If I have money, people won't like me. They have all these false beliefs about money. However, they don't understand how the role of money and where it works. So if you could just talk about the importance of money and wealth creation, and also the concept I've heard you talk about many times, compound and leverage, in terms of creating true wealth. So if you could just take the people through that.
Okay, well, first of all, look, money is not evil.
Yeah.
An evil person with money can become more evil, but a person with more money, a good person who has more money, can become a better person. So it's not money that's evil, it's the person who holds the money. And I think that's where people get it fundamentally wrong. You look at a guy like Bill Gates. There are a lot of people who they are jealous of all the money that a chap like Bill Gates has, but Bill Gates, with the money that he has done so much more good for the world than many people who are jealous of him, who haven't been able to give 1 cent to charity, because frankly they are charity. So a good person with money can do better than a good person without money. And an evil person with money can do a lot more evil than an evil person without money. So money just exasperates the person you are. It's not the money.
So it makes you more of what you go.
It makes you more of what you already are. Okay. So that's one thing. And what I've learned is that many people have this blueprint for money, and it's either good or it's bad. And if it's good, you're probably going to be more likely to attract money into your life. And if it's a bad blueprint, which is my friends won't like me, no, your friends won't like you if you become an idiot when you got more money. But if you got money and you do good with it, of course you can do your more friends are like you. Now that doesn't mean to say you go and open up a charity for all your friends. But there's so much. One thing we talk about leadership. There's so much you can then do with the money to make you a better person, that will make your friends want to aspire to be more like you. I've never heard of a good person with money having less friends.
That's very true.
So once again, it's back to just the blueprint that people have. If you believe that money is the root of all evil, and you're listening to this, I'd work on that. Some of the wealthiest people in the world who've got good hearts are making a much bigger difference than you, frankly, if that's where your mindset is. So sorry to be straight, but that's the way it is. But then let's talk about wealth creation. Wealth to me is when you have money working for you. Okay, there are lots of rich people out there who are millionaires, but they're not wealthy because they have to go and work for their money every day, which of course has the spiraling effect of negative effects on their health and their family life and all that sort of thing. Because most rich people who charge by the hour, they might charge a lot by the hour, but they're working from 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 at night to do that. So there's a difference between a rich and being wealthy. Of course, if you are rich and you understand wealth creation, you would diversify your active income that you make from what you're doing into wealth creating assets, like property and all that sort of thing. But the problem that most people have, the average guy out there who the middle income class, they're unfortunately in this trap where every month they just go from paycheck to paycheck, and it's a trap that is so sad to see, where if they just educated themselves on the many ways in which they can take a portion of that paycheck and start creating wealth creating assets, to enable them to hopefully one day get out of what Robert Kiyosaki refers to as the rat race. The world will be such a better place, and that's what we do. We try and educate people on how to get out of the rat race. And it's not as difficult as one might think. It's not easy, but it's quite simple, as you know. The problem is most people are clueless. So we always hear about people, I'm too busy. What, you're too busy to get out the rat race? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And we need to open people's minds up as to the big difference between having to work for money and have money work for you. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's only two ways to do that, and that is to invest in tools, platforms that create passive income through compound and leverage. Okay. John Paul Getty, one of the wealthiest men in the world, he's well, if not the wealthiest man, I think he talks about when he looks at a company to invest, he looks at, does this company have the ability to create a leverage or compound? And I'm not going to go into the mathematics of that on this video, but really you've got to ask why 3% of the world who are financially free understand compound and leverage to a huge degree. Once again, let's look at John Paul Getty. He said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's effort than 100% of my own. That's where you create wealth. You don't create wealth by swapping time for money. You never will. You never ever will. You'll always be in the rat race. That's really what I'm passionate about, is teaching people how to create wealth by stopping them from always swapping their time for money, and investing in a tool where they can create leverage and compound in their lives. That's it.
Okay, very cool. I've heard him say that many times, but every time he says it, it just keeps on. They say repetition is the mother of all learning, so I keep on learning from him. So just a final word from people who want to be more successful, become more unstoppable, along the lines of getting a mentor. And that's the final word, if you can just, because you're mine, I know that.
Well, thanks for I'm blessed to be called that, so thank you. The funny thing is, in Njabulo, if you speak to the wealthiest people in the world and you ask them who's your mentor, they'll have several. Some of their mentors won't even be as people as wealthy as them, but they have several mentors. But then you go and speak to the middle class and you ask them who their mentor is. Most of them won't even know how to spell mentor. Okay, and that's a big clue. One of my mentors said to me, if you want to be wealthy, it's very simple. Find a wealthy person and do what they do 100%. And that's what a mentor is. My father, who was a mentor to me in one aspect of my life, bless his soul, he taught me great values in life, but my father was a working man. He worked for a salary his whole life. He could never teach me anything about creating wealth other than to tell me be an entrepreneur. But after that, that's where it sort of ended, because he couldn't teach me what he didn't know.
True.
All right. So a couple of years back when I decided that I had to do something different for my family, I really went on a journey. And once again, Njabulo, you must understand, I'm an average guy. I'm not a guru or anything like that. But I went and decided that I was going to find myself some mentors. Now, some of those people know they're my mentors, and I speak to them literally on a daily, weekly basis. But other people don't even know. My other mentors don't even know I exist. But I listen to them all the time. They're with me all the time. They're in my car because I've got a CD player in my car. And I turn the radio off and I don't listen to the bad news of the news anymore. And I fill my mind with great advice from people who are where I want to be. Those people don't even know that I exist, but they are mentors of mine. I've got other mentors that play huge parts of my life and have changed had to work with huge amounts of what goes on in my brain. And I can tell you undoubtedly, if I hadn't plugged into mentors in my life, there's absolutely no ways that I could be achieving what I'm achieving right now. There's just no way. And I think it's so sad that many people who really need mentors don't even understand what a mentor is. But if you're listening to this and you want to change the way you think and change your situation, my first bit of advice to you would be to find yourself some mentors.
Yes.
And plug into them and ask them, how did you get there? What can I do to get there? It's a non-negotiable if you want to be successful, frankly.
It is a non-negotiable. And what they tell you to do, don't question it, just do it. Don't go overcomplicate the process because they've been through it. I know some experiences. Just go out and do it. Okay, so thank you very much, Andrew, for being a blessing to people.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is straight out of airport. Ladies and gentlemen, we truly believe that you can live inspired success. So please go out there and show the world how great you are. Stay blessed.
Cheers.